the internet isn't going to let any list go unquestioned ever. They check it twice. Tim, they came for you. Even though you're actually had a pretty good point, it was pretty measured. I think it's time to solidify your top 10 here.
First of all, let me address these people that were coming at me, okay? I had people sending me top 10 lists with 12 names on it. Folks, do the math. That's why this is a hard exercise. Shanae, right. That's the whole point of what I'm saying. Now, here's the thing. It's an opinion. Like, if you say your favorite color is blue or yours is yellow, I am not going to say purple's a better color. You're wrong.
Someone on social
It's subjective, right? Somebody on social media will.
All right, that's the preamble.
This is my opinion, right? Now, there's tiers to this thing.
Levels.
So there's three for me. No debate whatsoever. You're going to get the hair up on my neck. You want to try to debate me on these three. I'm going to go MJ 1. You got LeBron and Kareem. That's 1, 2, 3 for me. MJ 6 for 6 in the finals speaks a lot to me. The fact that he won all of those at one franchise means a lot to me. LeBron James, obviously, we've talked about him enough. Everybody knows where LeBron James ranks historically. Some people even have him number 1. I think he's the only guy that's a legitimate debate with Michael Jordan for the top spot. But for me, it's MJ. And then Kareem, one guy's got 6 MVPs. 6 rings. It's that guy. He also had 3 titles in college. So Kareem, for me, Cap, and also one of the most unstoppable offensive individual shots this league has ever seen. Skyhook, scoring leader for years and years and years. Those are my top 3. Not debatable.
These are the top 3, not debatable. Perk, you're our list captain on this show. I'm just checking with you. Not debatable, yeah?
I mean, you know what? Like Legs say, it's your preference. Some people like to drink some rock. Some people like to drink Hennessy. At the end of the day, they both get you drunk. I'm not mad at these top 3 here. I'm not mad at these top 3 at all. I would have Braun at number 1. But again, watching Jordan on those highlights remind you again, it's like, it have you rethinking things. But again, that's why it's a conversation.
Exactly.
I'm not mad
you good with us seeing the next 3?
I am absolutely great with this.
Let's see the next 3.
Next 3 also for me, I think they have to be in your top 10 somewhere. For me, I think these 3 guys will be in that 4, 5, 6 category. When you look at Wilt, Bill Russell, Magic Johnson, greatest floor leader this league has ever seen, greatest point guard. Bill Russell, the ultimate winner. And nobody did it at a higher level. And then Wilt Chamberlain, what he did statistically in separating from the guys that played during his era, and even to this day, when you look at any sort of record list, Wilt Chamberlain's name's going to appear on any list more than anybody else's. The physical dominance that he brought to the game and how unique he was. For me, those 3 guys absolutely have to be in your top 10. Again, non-negotiable for me.
Yeah, historically, yes, I like this with the championships going from time to time, so I'm here with this.
Okay, so that means we have 4 spots left here, Tim. Look at the names maybe we haven't mentioned yet here. We're talking about
We got another list, all right? And look, by the way, I think the graphic was too big. We're in out of some spaces. I think Hakeem could probably be in this, along in this group. I think Kevin Durant even can technically be a guy you'd say, hey, is a top 10 talent of all time, if not a top 10 career. But this is what I reduced it to, these 6. So it comes down to this. Pick 4.
Yeah.
And make your arguments, and you're not wrong, by the way. So I'm going to go chronological order for me. I got to put Larry Bird in there. And now, look, this is where I have the one little bit of personal bias.
Okay.
My favorite athlete of all time. He changed the course of my life, literally, because I was a baseball guy till Bird came into the league. I love those Celtics teams in the 80s. It was right when I was going into high school when he got to the NBA, and it really changed what I wanted to do with the course of my life. There's a reason I've got a picture of Bird and Magic behind me on a lot of my home hits, because it always reminds me of that era of basketball and why I fell in love with the NBA so much. So I've got to put Larry Bird in there, and then I'm going to go next with Kobe Bryant. I'm going to put Kobe in that top 10. I think for me, closest physical profile to Michael Jordan. Right? Very similar size, very similar game, two-way player, incredibly intense and motivated. Also, tremendous clutch player, was not afraid of the bright lights, in fact, relished it. And I think getting those 2 rings after he separated from Shaq cemented it for me with Kobe Bryant and winning those 2 titles with Pau Gasol. Next, we're going to go Shaq. I look at Shaq and I go, most physical, dominant, offensive force during his time. Unstoppable force. Of course, had to pair up with Kobe to get those rings, but won 3 finals MVPs alongside another guy that I just said is a top 10 player of all time. And he got all 3 of those finals MVPs. Shaq in his prime, people can forget about that. I got a taste of that as well. I did get to play against Shaq also in his early years, the leaner Shaq years, actually. And then
That means there's only one left.
Yeah,
there's one left.
eager.
My last spot, Steph Curry.
Oh, okay.
I said it. I'm going to back it up. I'm putting Curry in there.
All
4
right.
rings. And I think, listen, here's what plays into it for me also. It's obviously stats, it's winning, it's personal accolades, it's all that. I think there's another element to it of must-see TV and also how singularly unique you are. There's one Steph Curry historically. There's nothing been anything close to what Steph Curry does, how he plays, and the way he makes guys better without touching the ball is unlike anything this league has ever seen. And he's got now some Hall of Famers next to him in large part because of him. Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, Steve Kerr. All those guys are going to be Hall of Famers in large part to his talent.
So this right here, official, we're about to get it notarized. This is Tim Legler's top 10 all-time list. Since you've had a summer to really stew on everything that's going on around the league, why don't we start our show with a little bit of a new segment here? It's what's percolating. I know you've been simmering. They've been brewing. They've been percolating. You can hear it. So with only 3 weeks between now and training camp, my friend, we're going to go with your 3 biggest questions heading into the season. What you got for your first one, Big Perk?
Well, look, I don't know if I told y'all, but I'm telling y'all right now,
Okay.
I'm 9 days into my workout and my diet, and I've been in the boxing gym, and it got, yeah. But keep it on the low. Keep it on the low. Here's the thing.
Keep it between us.
Thinking.
Yeah, okay.
It had, keep it between us. It had me thinking, who else loves to box? Damian Lillard, right? And we talked about Damian Lillard all last offseason, right? Being traded for Portland, join Giannis Antetokounmpo, arguably the most dominant player in the game right now, one of the most dominant ever. Now, you're getting a fresh start, training camp under Doc Rivers. The pressure is on Dame. In the Eastern Conference where the Knicks got better, the defending champs and the Boston Celtics are there, Philly got better, it's time for Dame to rise to the occasion. Not saying that he hasn't in the past, but when you have a guy like Giannis Antetokounmpo, just making it into the playoffs or the conference finals is not enough. And when you look around the league and you look at a lot of the guys around his age, we put a lot of pressure on those guys to go out and deliver and bring home a championship. We got to keep that same energy with Damian Lillard.
Tim?
Yeah, listen, I think they can get into the mix with that top tier. Boston, Knicks, Sixers. I think Milwaukee can challenge, or they could be a team that could get caught also. You could see a team maybe catch them from behind. I'm kind of mixed on Milwaukee. Here's where I'm going to give Damian Lillard a little bit of a pass for last year. It was the first time in his life he wasn't the best player on his own team. I think that's a major adjustment for a guy, because when you come up the floor in Portland and you're Damian Lillard, really, like every option is your option. What do you want this possession to look like? Do what you want. Not really super accountable defensively because he's expected to put up numbers and carry them. So now you come to Milwaukee and you're in the shadow of another guy. I think that is a difficult adjustment. You also had a coaching change go on during that time. So I think Damian Lillard will be better this year in his cohesion with Giannis. The question is, Shanae, is it enough? Those guys paired up with what they face at the top of the
And I think the biggest question for the Bucks is, will their defense get better? And this is the first time also where his weakness really got magnified, where it was Drew Holiday once before, who was one of the best defensive players in the league and was able to be a cog in that machine to help them go and win a championship. Now it's Dame, where you say he's not necessarily the best player, but now he's asked to do things defensively that maybe he wasn't asked to before. This is a team that was 21st in defense last year. That has to go up. Perk, you know Doc, you know what the standards are. Like, those are the measures of improvement that I think Dame and the entire squad have to have. But, given all of this, what's weird? I still feel good about the Bucks.
Yeah.
Right.
Because when people think about Giannis Antetokounmpo, people forget he averaged 30 and 12 on 60% shooting.
Right.
He's still one of the most dominant players. Dame, we all trust him to have the last shot of the game. It's just more about putting those pieces and covering those weaknesses where they didn't have the time to really do that.
Well, and you have to wonder what would have happened if Giannis wasn't hurt, right, during that Indiana series. If Dame was at full strength during that Indiana series, if things maybe could have been a little bit different there. And we have to remember, only 8 games that Chris Middleton, Dame, and Giannis played under Doc Rivers together. So with a little bit more time to gel, maybe we could see if they percolate a little bit better. Speaking of Perk, what are you percolating on? That's the East. What about the West, my friend?
Well, I've been rolling with my sons. I've been hearing a lot of Moneybag Yo. I've been hearing a lot of Finesse 2 Times and all these rappers from Memphis. So I got to think about Memphis here for a second, right? And are we sleeping on them? when it comes down to looking at the teams around the league, especially in the Western Conference, we know that the Denver Nuggets are going to be there. You know that Anthony Edwards and the Timberwolves, Luka and the Mavs, OKC. But outside of that, everybody else, they have to prove themselves. Ja Morant coming back, is he going to come back on a mission to try to reclaim his throne of saying, hey, no, I'm still one of the best young guys in the league? You got Marcus Smart. You know he's going to have a chip on his shoulder just watching a team that he was traded for win the NBA championship, Jaren Jackson Jr. Can he elevate even more? Can he become an all-NBA caliber player? Like, I believe it's there. And then you have Desmond Bain. Desmond Bain is on. I think him and Ja Morant could be a top 5 backcourt in the league. And I don't see why this team won't make enough noise to be a top 6 seed in the Western Conference.
I completely agree with you, Perk. The only thing I'm pushing back on is when you're talking about Memphis and rap, how are you not going to mention Glorilla? Like, how are you going to miss Glorilla in the mix?
Because that's your job. That's your job.
Okay, I got you. Hold it down.
She's got it. All right, well, what do we think, Tim? Like, not just about Glorilla, but what about the Memphis Grizzlies?
It's the single biggest X factor in the NBA is what's about to happen in Memphis. Because Ja Morant's that special, first of all. He's that special for talent. You know, some seasons get derailed. Theirs never even left the station. Right, that's how bad their season was. But from suspensions to injuries, decimated roster turnover. This is now a team that has the talent in place to quickly, early, if they get out of the gate, to let people know, like, hey, they're going to be in the mix. Now, I don't think anybody's going to put them in that top tier with Denver and Dallas, right? They're not going to put them up there with Minnesota, with those teams. But that next group, Memphis is trying to grab that, and they can remind people very quickly how special Ja is and how special this group potentially could be. I can't wait to see what they bring starting opening night.
Former Warriors player still battling in training camp to secure NBA future. More than 18 months after being traded by the Golden State Warriors, James Wiseman continues to fight for his place in the NBA following a challenging season and a half with the Detroit Pistons. The Pistons chose not to extend a qualifying offer to the former number 2 overall pick, allowing him to become an unrestricted free agent this summer. Eventually, Wiseman signed a new deal with the Indiana Pacers, but the fight for his career is far from over. James Wiseman's non-guaranteed contract makes training camp crucial for his NBA future. In an ironic twist, Wiseman will now join forces with All-Star guard Tyrese Halliburton, a player the Warriors had once considered drafting before selecting the towering 7-footer from Memphis. However, this partnership might be short-lived unless Wiseman can impress during training camp and the preseason. The upcoming weeks are critical for many players across the league, but especially for those still working to secure their NBA future. Despite inking a 2-year deal with the Pacers, Wiseman's position remains uncertain. Not only is the second year of his contract a team option, but only $500,000 of the first year is guaranteed. With Indiana currently holding 16 players on their roster, at least one player will have to be cut before the season begins. According to Hoops Hype, the Pacers will have 4 players vying for spots in training camp. Wiseman is one of them, alongside veteran James Johnson, who has $750,000 guaranteed out of his $3.3 million deal. Meanwhile, Kendall Brown and Cole Swider, whose contracts are fully non-guaranteed, are also in the mix. Though it seems unlikely Wiseman will be waived before the season starts, the fact that he finds himself in this position highlights the ongoing disappointment surrounding a player once hailed as a future NBA star. Wiseman appeared in 60 games over 3 seasons with the Warriors, averaging 9.9 points and 5.0 rebounds in 18.3 minutes per game. While he was part of the Warriors' 2022 championship team, a knee injury kept him sidelined for the entire season. Now, the 23-year-old faces another pivotal chapter in his career, fighting to prove he can still be a valuable asset in the league.